Computer. Okay, hello everyone. Glad you can join us here. We're doing another one of our talk withs, and this one is with Mike Tomaino. I think that's how he pronounces his last name. But he's, as you'll find out, a pretty special guy, and I think you'll enjoy hearing what he has to say. The title, How to Be a Superhero, the Top Secret Official Guide. Now, he put this together, I think, really with one of his students, and he is the author of How to Be a Superhero, the Top Secret Official Guide. You can see that and get that on Amazon. How to Be a Superhero is about helping people find their real life superpowers, train their body and mind, deal with negative emotions, and go out into the world to help people. How's that for a wonderful mission? The book is based on Mike's successes teaching students that come from low income homes and many years of research into psychology. The goal is to help spark the transition from the fixed to growth mindset. Mike makes it clear that his approach is for both kids and adults. So with that, I'll turn this over to you, Mike. Do you have any PowerPoint you want to show, or you just want to talk, or what are you going to do today?
Well, what I'm hoping that we can do today is I'm gonna talk a little bit and then have it mostly be us discussing because I really love when other people give their sides of the story too.
Okay, very good. If you don't have a PowerPoint, let me see if I can make you full screen as you talk. Um, why I always have trouble with that. Simona, how do I make him full screen? She's my, oh, there you go. It's all yours.
Is it good to go? Because I still see it shared, but I mean that's fine with me.
Well, I'm seeing you full screen, and I think most everyone else is also. Are you seeing him full screen, Simona?
No, I don't.
Oh, so it's only me. So maybe each of you,
You probably need to stop sharing. Like it might be like I don't
Yeah,
know for sure, but you probably have to stop sharing and then switch it to speaker view or whatever.
I stopped sharing, and now I think it's all you. Everybody seeing him now?
now we see everybody.
Okay,
Yeah, so
but
you have to
when
probably
you,
put it to speaker view.
yeah, I think as you talk, yeah,
Yeah, you can put speaker on the view. You select speaker.
multi-speaker. Yes, I've got speaker highlighted. Well, the recording will have you because I said, oh, what is full? No, you are full screen basically. What about multi-speaker? That's not what I want. Maybe each of you just needs to make him full screen. My view has him as the speaker. Maybe immersive? No.
I I put it on speaker. Mike, why don't you talk to see if it changes to you?
Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it should
changes
switch
to
to me.
you.
There you go. So when you speak, it's all yours.
Yeah, that should be that should actually be good for the recording too, because then when somebody else adds in, then it'll switch to them. All right. So am I ready to go?
You're ready to go.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's so awesome to see all of you and to get to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming and for being interested in the subject material. Um, and so my name is Michael Tomaino. I'm in Gainesville, Florida now. I'm originally from upstate New York. I've worked with kids for around almost 20 years in different capacities as a coach, as a teacher, before and after school program director, um, babysitting, lots of different roles. And now I teach kids and adults how to play frisbee at a local park that's next to a cafe. And I'm also the author of the book, How to Be a Superhero, the Top Secret Official Guide, as Marty was kind enough to show the picture of. And and I'm a speaker. I've given talks at a bunch of colleges, and I did one recently for a TEDx and schools. So that's been a lot of fun. Um, and so today we're going to talk about how we can all be a real life superhero because we all actually have that ability. And so, first, I'd like to start with the definition of what is a superhero. And my definition is that a hero helps people, and a superhero helps a lot of people. And I've been thinking about it, just trying to distill things into the most basic form. And what I've come to the conclusion is that I think the most important thing, at least to me in my life, is to be good to ourselves, be good to myself, and be good to each other. And I personally think that that's the most powerful and important thing that we can do for the world. And because when we have that happening, the world is just such a nicer place. Um, and so I want to start with we all have real life superpowers, and mine is kindness, patience, facilitation, exploration, and I really like to focus on openness. And I'm a little athletic. I used to be a little bit more athletic, but and so I'm curious if any of you know what your real life superpowers are, and if you've ever thought about it, because we all have something special about ourselves that other people might find a little harder, that's a little bit easier for us. And so if anybody would like to um, share their superpower, maybe be best to do the hand raise function, or you can just unmute and I'll call it on you. But because I would love to learn more about any of you, if any of you want to share your real life superpowers.
They're shy. I was afraid of that. Don't be shy. Respond to him. I haven't thought about this before, but my superpowers are my love of science, my pursuit of physics, um, getting into um, well, quantum mechanics now, but things are moving into AI, and that's what I do. I also consider myself to be a kind, loving person, um, very close to my family. Okay, that's a good start for me.
Yeah, and a great speaker and presenter.
Okay, I love to do, yes, presentations, and teach people about psychic stuff, consciousness, remote viewing in particular, but other aspects of consciousness and the spiritual. Need to.
Yes, you have a lot of superpowers. Look at all the superpowers. And I see Krista unmuted. Krista, would you like to share your superpowers?
Hello. I always thought that one of my superpowers was my intuition. However, I've done some of the remote viewing with Marty and also on my own, and I see that it needs more work. So that's one thing, a superpower that I want to even get better. And then also, I think I'm quite a generous person with my time, my advice, my anything that I could really give. So I hope to stay generous. So that's it from me.
Oh, I love that so much. That's so many good superpowers. Intuition is actually a superpower I'm really trying to work on myself. Because it's such a wonderful uh, gift that we've been given, especially if we can, for me, for me, just learn to listen to it a little bit better. It's just a really wonderful thing. It makes life a lot less stressful. And then when our life is a little less stressful, then it's easier for us to be a little bit more patient with others. Which is what I say that because this is what I'm working on and discovering for myself. So thank you so much for sharing that. Would anybody else like to share their superpowers? Okay. Jay Allen, thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Michael, and I can't read everybody's name, but hello, Marty. It's been a while. My name is Jay Allen. I was going to say probably the obvious thing is remote viewing. I've been a remote viewer for a long time, but to answer your question, I actually have a different superpower. So I'm an engineer, and Marty might be able to relate to this. If we have a really difficult science or an engineering problem that we're trying to figure out, which happens often, uh, I figured out a way to connect. There's a process to connect to a non-physical information source, sort of like a hall of ideas, but it's out there. And I found a process to connect with that, and it takes some time, and you have to define the problem really well. But it's out there, and you can get some really, really good ideas to solve problems. Probably anybody can use it if they learned it, but I did figure that one out at least. Yeah, that's fun. That's it. Sorry.
Wow, that's incredible. It sounds like Marty might have to have you on yourself to do a presentation. That sounds really cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. It certainly piqued my curiosity. And so, oh, we're going to say something, Jay Allen?
Oh, I was just going to say, as a follow-up, if anybody actually is interested in that, I learned a lot of these through the Monroe Institute. There's some techniques and processes from there, but then you sort of tailor it individually once you learn that tool. But that's a place to look for it if you like.
Awesome. Well, I definitely will, and I appreciate you saying that because if anybody else is welcome to share if they like, if you want to jump in at some point. But that is actually my next topic that I wanted to talk about. So that was a beautiful segue. Because Marty has gotten me really interested in remote viewing because I'm very interested in NDEs, especially in spirituality. And if you ever heard of Michael Newton's work, he did hypnotherapy, and he was actually able to bring patients in between lives. So he called it life between life hypnotherapy, where he was able to have them help him explore the afterlife. And his book is called Journey of Souls, and it's actually about what happens at death and then the journey from death to birth. So really fascinating. And so I've been playing around with combining the two, remote viewing and the life between lives. And because I recently came across a meditation on YouTube, and it was so powerful that when I came out of it, my face was wet. And I'm not usually like a crying type. And so the fact that it moved me to that point was really something. And Marty suggested, because I joined him for the meditations, the daily meditations, maybe you should try remote viewing and doing your own meditation. And so I did, and had quite a wild ride. And I think I forced things a little bit too hard because I came out of it with a headache, but I had a very interesting adventures. And there was also a remote viewer who remote viewed JFK when he got assassinated, and ended up going with JFK like on his ride to the afterworld, which was or the afterlife, which was incredible. And like he saw like different entities and everything. And I guess he got like a little scared and backed out. But I thought that was a really interesting, just absolutely fascinating thing. And then, as Marty and I were talking about earlier too, he was on a video where they talked about quantum physics and remote viewing. And it's so fascinating to me how like all these worlds are starting to blend. And I really love how um, we can take people that are a little bit skeptical, and especially with remote viewing, I mean, you can experience it for yourself and be like, hey, whoa, this is actually real. That's an incredible thing. And so you guys are all my superheroes in a way. And the fact that you guys have, paved the way so that somebody like me could come in and have this kind of experience for myself. And that's been absolutely incredible. So thank you so much for all the work that you've all done and for being my superhero in that way. Yeah, it was Daz Smith. I'm pretty sure that was the video I watched with JFK.
Oh, Mike,
And
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you by typing in there while you're talking. I'll stop. I just
oh,
like
it's
to comment as the things go. Sorry.
Well, I think that was perfect because I couldn't remember the guy's name offhand. And so the fact that you mentioned it, because now people can go look that up for themselves and watch the same video I did and and see that experience. And because yeah, I think remote viewing is just so powerful. It's just like I'm so excited to explore and so excited to explore what you're talking about, Jay Allen, with the whole of information. Um, and so I'm going to talk about now too how we can all be real life superheroes. And as I talked about, just a superhero is just someone who helps a lot of people. And along with that, I want to say too, we don't have to do like these huge things that like donate $1 million or um, something crazy. Like just small acts of kindness are a huge deal. Even holding a door open for someone, saying hi to somebody, smiling at somebody. There's actually been so many stories I've heard where somebody was actually contemplating ending their lives, and somebody waved to them, somebody smiled, and they reconsidered. They were like, "Whoa!" Like somebody actually acknowledged my existence, and it made them change their mind. And I didn't believe it at first until I talked to some people that was their experience. Like they're the ones that were unfortunately thinking about removing themselves, and somebody just smiled or waved to them, and they changed their mind. That's a powerful thing. And the small acts of kindness too, they have a ripple effect. And at first I was just thinking how, like if you say hi to somebody and brighten up their day, then they're going home to their parent or to their family and brightening up their day, and then it spreads and so it ripples out. But I realized that not only does it ripple out, but it actually ripples through generations and actually potentially through parallel realities and really the universe. And I started as I started hearing about NDEs, and there's a really common thing that happens in NDEs, and that's called the life review. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the life review, but it seemed that over and over again, the most celebrated thing in the life review was these small acts of kindness. And one of my favorites was like this. So this lady went through her life review, and she thought that like all these different things were going to be like the most important thing, that got celebrated. But the most important thing that got celebrated was when she was in a checkout line, the lady in front of her didn't have enough money for her groceries, and she was a single mom, just trying to get what she could. And so that lady actually offered the single mom 73 cents. That's all she needed, was just 73 cents to pay her bill. And in the life review, she was able to see that lady's life, where that lady actually started working in a soup kitchen, and so she was helping other people that had been in her situation. And then another lady asked that single mom, or she was short some money or whatever, And the single mom said, that's okay. Like, I've been where you've been. And so I just thought it was like so cool, like just the fact that that rippled out like that. And yeah, hopefully I did an okay job of telling that story. And another one was there was a guy that was um, walking across like a city, and he had a bottle of water, and he was done drinking his water, and there's still like half the bottle left, and he just poured it on a plant that was looking a little rough, and he said that there was a whole stadium of spirits or whatever that were just absolutely celebrating, just like losing their minds, like they were like so happy and proud of that. And I was thinking about it too, because even just helping a plant, especially if it's like a flower, a nice plant, or every person that walks by that, if they see the nice, healthy, vibrant plant, it brightens their day, and so it really does all ripple out. And the last one I'll share is there was a gentleman who he just donated like tons and tons and tons of money, and um, and he thought that that was what was going to matter the most. And it turns out that what mattered the most was when he was a little kid, his sister was crying, and he went over and comforted her. And I just thought that was so beautiful. And so these small acts of kindness are just more powerful than we ever realized. And so when I wrote the book and did the TEDx talk and everything, um, I hadn't seen any of these or anything. And so the fact that they correlated so well um, is has just been really wonderful. And so my main way of being a superhero, my favorite way of being a superhero is I really like saying hi to people. I think that there's so much that's happening psychologically, physiologically, that like when you say hi to somebody. And have you guys ever had any nice experiences where you said hi to somebody or somebody has said hi to you and it's really brightened your day? Well, I'll say for myself, it all started when I left teaching and I started working from home, and I was feeling really lonely and depressed, like just working out of my room and going for a walk, and somebody passed me the other way, and I was just like, hey, how you doing? And they were like, oh wow, well hi, and I was like, oh hey, and I was like, wow, that felt really good to have that exchange, and before I knew it, I was just walking around saying hi to everybody, and it's so wonderful because so many people were looking down the dumps, their heads hanging low, and I'd be like, hey, how you doing? And they'd be like, whoa, and just perk up and just like full of life. And so that's why I think it's such a beautiful and easy thing that all of us can do to really change people's days. And when I go to the grocery store, I it completely changes it because I don't want to go grocery shopping. I don't know about you, but it's like it's a chore. But when I go around saying hi to people, it actually ends up just like turning it into just such a pleasant and wonderful experience, and just everybody is happy, and I'm happy. So because it reflects back to us. Um, and so my other main way of being like doing superhero activities is I mentioned how I teach kids and adults how to play frisbee at a local park. And next to the park, there's an outdoor cafe. And if people want to join us, they do. And so many times there'd be a kid or adult that will say, I can't do it, or I'm not going to be good enough. And I just have them give me the gator chomp because it's Gainesville, Florida. And they throw in their frisbee, they chomp it, catch it, and it's like their mind is just blown. And it's so wonderful. I had this lady that was probably in her 60s or 70s that she was walking by us, and I said, oh, we got another player. And she's like, oh no, I can't do it. And somehow I was able to convince her to just give it a shot. And she caught it, and mind blown. And I actually started throwing it to her faster and faster, and she caught it one-handed. She started catching it one-handed, and I was like, "Look at you! Are you trying to hustle us?" And she told me how um, she never played sports her entire life because she didn't think she was going to be good enough, and that she was so afraid of letting down the team, letting other people down. And so I got to see 60 something years of negative conditioning just disappear. And it was really a beautiful thing to see. And now one of the most beautiful things too is I have little kids. The little kids are actually teaching other kids and even sometimes adults. I had a little 6-year-old boy that was teaching a mom the other day about how to how to throw the frisbee, and he was giving her a little bit of a hard time about not catching it. And I said, well, it's really important too that you're encouraging, or else she's not going to want to play anymore. And so let's try to focus on things that she's doing well. And he shifted it, and it was a really beautiful experience. She did really well. He started actually doing a lot better. And when they left, there were buddies, and it's just such a beautiful thing just seeing people come together. Um, and I think the most important thing too is that leading by example, um, because that I sometimes, of course, I can get frustrated with other people's actions, and sometimes it's tough to be a superhero, and sometimes it's tough to be a good person, especially when people aren't so great to us. But I think that if the most like the only thing that we can do is control our own attitudes and behavior. And so that's why I think leading by example is just such a wonderful and beautiful thing. And if you listen to my TEDx talk, that's what I was able to do for my father, and completely change the dynamic of that relationship from negative to way more positive. Um, and so I would love to ask all of you, do you have any experiences where an act of kindness really changed someone's life? Like either changed your life or you changed somebody else's life?
I like the idea of saying hello to people as they walk by. And I don't know if it changes anyone's life, but they mostly, because this doesn't happen too often, and it really should. It'd be a great thing if it caught on with a lot of people because, they say hello back usually with a little bit of a surprise. Um, so I think that's a good idea. Anybody else want to make a comment? I have a question, Michael. Were you
Sure.
going on to something else, or can let me ask this question? This idea of life reviews, which I have heard about before. A lot of people experience it, sometimes just when they fall out of bed. Between the time they, leave and hit the ground, they have a life review. What I've never heard was like a focus on what's most important. Um, do all life reviews that you know about have that where they focus on what was the most important thing? Or I mean, that just seems unusual to me. I always picture it as you go through virtually your whole life, all the incidents in your life, some positive, some negative, how it affects other people in a negative fashion or a positive fashion. But I've never sort of heard about, oh, this is the most important. How does that come up?
So that's a great question. Yeah, my main experience with the life reviews is that you see the majority of your life, and you actually experience it from the other people's points of view as well, and feel what they're feeling. And my understanding, of course, I haven't had a life review myself. That's actually something I really want to try to do through remote viewing and the life between lives hypnotherapy. That's actually my next goal. Um, but I guess um, I think it was like mainly a sense that they felt, or like certain scenarios were emphasized, and because all of it's important, where being able to experience it all, and but it was like of a lot of the life reviews that I've listened to, there was certain parts that were emphasized as, like focus on this part, or they had a little bit more attention given to it. Um, um,
Okay.
but hopefully that answers your question, because of course, without us experiencing it ourselves, but it's just like it's just what also the speakers, that the people like talking about their life reviews have emphasized. So I suppose I'm getting it from that. Um,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
see something in the chat.
Yeah. I guess the person, um, just to emphasize these as being particularly important to them. It wasn't like some other entity saying this was really a cool thing that you did, the most significant one in your life, right? It wasn't an outside influence saying that. It came from the person saying, I did this, and I saw how it affected that person, and it was pretty positive.
It could have been because I mean, it's I'm just trying to remember with the stories, because of course it's different from person to person, but I think sometimes it was where like they were shown that like this was particularly important, and so it might not necessarily be the most important. It's like I can't say that because I don't want to speak exactly for them, but that's what they remember as being emphasized. And I don't know if like sometimes I think it was beings, and or maybe it was just a sense that they felt, because like when it comes to life between lives too, the spiritual realm, a lot of it is like telepathic, is like feel, what I mean? It's not always like a concrete like person standing next to you kind of thing. Um, and that's how my experience was too, with doing the Life Between Lives hypnotherapy, when I was preparing to like when I saw my avatar, myself on the screen, like my pre-life planning, I felt that there was figures next to me, but I couldn't see them. And I didn't get any real sense of who they were, except that they were like helping me plan. So so sorry I can't answer your question better, but
No, I got the sense of the answer. Makes sense.
yeah, it was just the main thing for me is I've watched probably at least 200 to 300 or so NDEs, and like these were the commonalities like of that they mentioned as what they found important in their life reviews, and things that they said. So so that's why it stood out to me of, hey, like this seems important. And it's already so rewarding on a human level, the fact that it might even be important in a life review and on a spiritual level. I mean, that's just such a huge bonus. And um we're told and shown that everything is about love, and being kind to somebody is such a wonderful form of love. So I mean, I think it all works together. And this is all stuff that I'm exploring more. Um, and so I just find it all absolutely fascinating. And so somebody shared something in the chat, but for whatever reason, my chat isn't really coming up. Like something, I think they shared a story. Oh yeah, Kelly. She said that she encountered a cleric who is kind and truly wants to be helpful. She's saying encountering a cleric who is kind and truly wants to be helpful can change the mood of the entire day for me. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely been days that I've been down in the dumps, and somebody says hi to me, and it changes my whole outlook. Just
Unfortunately,
that what's
unfortunately,
that?
unfortunately, it works the other way too. you get a real negative person and you'll just go away feeling negative, which makes it all more important to be positive.
Well, that's why I always just wish them a great every day. And yeah, I just wish them the best. Like sometimes I'll even just take a few minutes to listen to what's wrong, and you just be a listening ear, and because I think listening is love, and that can go such a long way. And because I'll ask people like how they're doing, and sometimes they'll say, "I'm doing all right," and and I'll say, "I hope you're all right." Turns into awesome, and they're like, "Whoa!" They're like they peak up, just little stuff like that. You just being in someone's corner and making them feel that you're in their corner and you care about them having a good day, even not actually doing necessarily any work. I just think it goes so far. Well, in my experience, it's gone so far, and I've realized too, yeah, because there is definitely um, people that aren't in the best state of mind. Marty, you just reminded me we have a neighbor who she's known to yell at all the neighbors. Like everybody has a story with her. Um, and one day I was talking to a fellow neighbor. It wasn't even outside our house, but it was kind of close to our house. It's all condos, and so they're the joint, the big houses that are split into a few. I forget what they're called, duplexes maybe or whatever. But anyway, she came out and she started yelling at us, and the guy I was talking to just booked it. But I just sat there and listened to her because I realized that it wasn't personal and she was going through something. And eventually she calmed down and she was like, like you are a saint, like God bless you, like all this stuff. Like she turned like a completely different person. And I didn't do anything but just sit there and listen to her. And she was talking about like how like all the rough experiences that she had in her life with I think somebody like trying to break into her house and drug deals and like all this stuff that I was like, whoa. I understand why she's why she might have that kind of attitude, that kind of, because it's really fear. So so yeah, so it was a wonderful experience. All right. And so would anybody else like to share any acts of kindness that they've encountered or that's meant something to them? Oh, thank you, Kelly. So Kelly says that a willingness to listen superpower. Yeah, thank you. And of course, and so the next thing that I'm going to talk about too, and then right after that we'll get into Q&A, is being good to ourselves because listening is great, but we also want to make sure that we're good to ourselves. And one of the things that I've been really learning is boundaries. And because sometimes you need to let people know like this and that behavior is not going to be acceptable. And yeah, and so I'm curious because if we're not good to ourselves, it's hard for us to go out and be superheroes, right? Like if we're not getting our proper rest, meditation, healthy eating, um, being good to ourselves. So what are do you guys have any ways that you're good to yourselves or things that you do to yeah, be good to yourselves? 'Cause I think that's the hard one. I think it's actually a little bit easier to be nice to other people than be nice to ourselves because that's the one that I have trouble with. But thankfully, well, so I guess I'll list what I wrote. I have rest, meditation, healthy eating, exercise, walking in nature, maintaining a positive environment such as cleaning, and then also personal boundaries. Um, And I really like Ramana Maharshi and the idea of self-inquiry and realizing what is not you, like your thoughts, your emotions, your body, um, and learning to just put baggage down, like stress down, and um, Yeah, that's what somebody mentioned meditation in the chat. That's really helped, especially when I've been focusing on, the self big S, um, the awareness, consciousness, that inner self, versus the self identity, and also learning to let go, relaxing and learning to let go. Uh, I live near Michael Singer, if you've ever heard of him, and his big thing is relax and release. And so much powerful things happen when we learn to relax. It just opens up the door for so many things, including remote viewing. And I forgot where, I think it was Schwartz that was saying that meditators have a much better ability to remote view, which I thought was really interesting and made a lot of sense. So yeah. And so if anybody else would like to chime in about how they're good to themselves, I'd love to hear it.
Meditation is a real winner, not only for remote viewing, but as you said, for doing something for yourself. Here you are, no one else around, you get quiet and you meditate. And that's good for yourself. And I think it just opens you up to be a better remote viewer.
Yeah, and everything, because meditation, as I've been learning, can really be practiced pretty much all the time. And if you're in a like a meditative state, if somebody is not being good to you, it's a lot easier to be patient. Or if even something bad happens, period, if you're able to be with that inner peacefulness, that inner awareness, and not get sucked into the story. Because that's what meditation for me is basically taking a break from reality. Well, not reality necessarily, but taking a break from the stories.
Day-to-day stuff, the physical life,
Yeah.
getting into really more of the spiritual life. I think you told me a little bit that you had or studied out-of-body experiences. Do you want to talk about that?
So I personally don't know a lot about out-of-body experiences. I know some people that have had out-of-body experiences. I am very fascinated in it, and I want to learn more. And that's why remote viewing is so appealing to me, because it seems like a little bit of work, or I don't know, like maybe work or luck or whatever, is involved in out of body experiences versus remote viewing. It happened for me. It happened instantly. I didn't do any work. Like I just closed my eyes and pictured those numbers in my mind, and the pond came up. And so I wonder too if remote viewing is even potentially a precursor for out of body experiences. Um, and somebody mentioned in a Tom Campbell presentation that somewhere Tom said that if you meditate every day for 6 months, that you have an OBE. And I haven't been able to find where he said that yet, but that sounds exciting.
Well, keep meditating with us. It's wonderful. Um, Mike joins us in our healing meditations at 9 a.m. every morning. And some of you may want to join us also. And then you'll have to let us know in 6 months if you have an out-of-body experience.
Yeah, like what Kelly said too about associating with positive people. And I think that's a big part of the boundaries, because I found for myself some people, it's just not healthy for me to be around. I love them, I care about them, I wish them the best, but their focus is different from my focus, and it's not constructive. And I realize the best I can do is lead by example, and hope that maybe one day um they start to work a little bit on themselves or what they need to do. Because, to me, it's sad too, because, ultimately, people that, there's that saying that hurt people. And, and I really think it's true. And, but there just becomes a point in time sometimes that, it's, if it's being too much of a negative experience for you, then, sometimes it's just really healthy to put up those boundaries. And so, yeah, so now I guess we'll get into the Q&A if you guys have any questions. And thank you so much for listening to me. I hope you've all found it interesting and useful. And yeah, if you have any questions for me or even any comments that you'd like to mention or even different ways to be a superhero that I might have not have seen, I really love hearing from other people versus me talking.
Well, I'll say you're really a delightful person, Michael, and I think all of us, I certainly feel raised a little bit by all the positive stuff. And I'm going to start saying hello to people more. So you've made some inroads, at least in me. Okay, anybody else have something they want to add or ask a question? If not, there are no rules about how long this goes, so we can stop this.
And so Kelly asked, well, first of all, Marty, that makes me so happy. I mean, just even hearing that, that means that all this is a complete success. Because like I was saying, like all that ripples out. And I've had a few other people to mention that, now they say hi to everybody. And when they tell me that, like their face is beaming and, they've said that they've had really nice experiences. And also I should mention too, sometimes you won't have people say hi back to you. And but that's not a reflection of you. That's a reflection of what's going on with them. Because I mean, if you think about it too, like not saying hi back to somebody, I mean, you have to be in kind of either a distracted state or not a good place, because that's like one of the easiest things to do is say hi back to somebody. And also too, we never know how far just that simple gesture can go. Maybe they never had somebody say hi to them before, and they're and it shocked them. They're in shock. They don't know how to process it. And I had one guy because I go walking at the park, and he wouldn't say hi back for the longest time, but then he started to warm up. It'd be a little at first, and then it just become like like full on, and it was just such a wonderful thing. So yeah, so anyway, so Marty, thank you so much. Like that's awesome. And I'd love to hear about any wonderful experiences that you have, because hopefully it'll be a lot. And and I've had a lot of workers at the grocery store come up to me and tell me like, hey, like you're like the most positive person, like you make my day so much better, like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just like, wow, like I'm not doing the work. I'm just like saying, hey, like how you doing? Just as I'm walking by, and to know that I've made such a difference in their day is incredible. But then I hear some of the stories of things that those poor grocery workers go through. And I'm just like, I can't believe people, are like that sometimes. But I'm happy to slant things the other way. Yeah, once I'm going to the grocery store, I was just saying goodbye, or there was a couple walking out the other way, and I said, "I hope you both have a great night." And the guy just like stopped and was like this, and he's like, "You are an angel from God." I was like, "What?" And he's like, "I've been having the worst few weeks, and the fact that you said that to me just made such a big difference." And we ended up talking for like 10 minutes, and just because I said, "I hope you have a great night." And so it's just it's so simple for us to be superheroes. Just that those little acts of kindness really do make a big difference. Um, And so Kelly asked if I work with kids. And so I was a teacher, a babysitter, a before and after school program, a site director, now children's book author. And so I worked with kids, and I actually worked with K through college because I taught game design at the college level. Because I think I mentioned I used to design video games. And my second project was actually for kids and adults, and it ended up getting into hundreds of schools all over the world. And I still hear about it, even though my last release was like 10 or 11 years ago. I heard from a kid in Poland, and they actually translated the software into Polish. And he sent me a video of him showing like all his classmates, and they're all using software because it's all about creating. It's all about creating.
Tell
But
us
so now,
about software.
what's that?
Tell us about the software. You never mentioned the software.
Oh man, I can't believe I forgot that. So both my game projects actually did really well, but the second one I'm a little bit more proud of because it's helped people more. And so it's called Platinum Arts Sandbox, and yeah, it's all about creating. It's all about like you start with a flat.
Show it to us. Can you show it to us?
Um,
Can you get
well,
and
I
show
have
it?
YouTube videos of it. Um, I don't know if what the
Okay.
easiest way to do it is on here.
A cool idea, and maybe you can put the link in the chat box.
Sure.
Something.
Yeah, it is Sandbox Game Maker, and I'll write that down. Sandbox. And I've heard so many nice stories of parents being able to bond with their children through it, and because it's cooperative too. You can actually go in the same worlds with each other,
Did,
and it's all about creating versus
oh,
any kind of addictive.
I'm sorry, but it didn't go in the chat box. And I think this is something which we can pursue. Did you hit enter?
It did go.
Set it to one.
I'll put it again.
Make sure it goes to everyone.
I do have it on everyone.
There it is. There it is. I got it. Okay.
Yep, sandboxgamemaker.com for
Yeah.
anybody listening.
Okay. Very nice. Okay. Do you mind if I bring it up?
Oh, not at all. And oh, so to fully answer Kelly's question, so now the Frisbee events are my way of working with kids because it's really beautiful having the outdoor cafe there because they do live music as well. And so parents will bring their kids there, and then the parents can see everything going on because the cafe is right next to the park. And then I teach them how to play Frisbee, or we play soccer, or we play football, all sorts of things. And my favorite thing is when they all come together and become friends with each other. Because a lot of times the kids are shy and kind of afraid to engage with other kids, but they're comfortable with me, and so then I introduce them to the other kids, and before I know it, they're just all really good friends. And the youngest I've taught was a year and a half, and the oldest was probably in her 70s. And a lot of times everybody's just all playing together, and I bring extra frisbees too for the really little kids, so they can just chuck the frisbees around. And it's all about just getting out there in nature, everybody coming together, having a good time, getting exercise, and the frisbee is just a catalyst for all that wonderful stuff.
Okay. I don't know if you saw it. I brought it up on the screen and it's free. So it's to get and each explore it if we want to.
Yeah, I try to keep all my stuff free. My only thing that isn't free is the book because it has of course the publishing costs because they have to make it, assemble it.
Okay. Anything else? This was
Well, the main thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead because I'm about to end this. So if you have anything else, please share it with us.
Well, the main thing is I just want to thank you all for listening, and I hope that you all have a great every day. And I really do mean that. I really hope you all have the best every day ever, because when even one of us is having a great day, it just spreads to everybody else, and it's just a wonderful thing.
You've got the most wonderful attitude, and thank you for that. And I hope you have a wonderful day, year, month, life as well.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for inviting me on. I really appreciate it. I'm so honored. Thank you for thinking of me.
It was valuable having you. And hey, we're going to stay in touch because I'm going to hopefully talk to you for a long time during presentations. And I'm going to stop.